Let's talk about some of the harsh realities of blogging, because there are some blogging bad bits, there are some pros and cons, and there are some very negative things about blogging. So today, I'm going to tell you the 9 harsh truths you need to know before you start blogging. Let's get into this. Hi and welcome back to the channel again. If you're new to my channel and you haven't a clue who I am, my name's Carl. I've been blogging now for 4 years and I own a small portfolio of websites, plus I've sold a number of websites over the past few years. And there are some harsh realities to blogging that I think not many people talk about, especially myself. You go on YouTube and you type blogging or niche website and you get all these really positive, inspirational videos, possibly a lot of mine on there, and there are some really nice positive things to blogging, but there are some harsh truths that not many people talk about, kind of the darker side of blogging. And I thought in today's video I will tackle 9 harsh truths that you need to know before you start building a website. So number 1, it's brutally competitive. So recently I've been finding this more and more, how competitive and very protective people are over their niches or their websites. So a friend of mine, a fellow YouTuber and blogger, has really been on the harsh end of this, to be honest. He's even received hate emails and has even through his YouTube in the past received death threats, which is just crazy. And I'll put on the screenshot now. I've shared this with his permission. You'll see an email he received about a website that he's building, and somebody else obviously has a website in the same niche, and they resorted to emailing him personally and really sending a very threatening email. So it is a very competitive business that you might be getting yourself into, particularly if you go public or you share some information about it. If you have an alias and you write under a pseudonym, I think that's what they call it, then no one knows who you are, then you're probably going to be protected from that. But you still can get comments on your website, you still can get emails, because obviously you needed a contact page or about us page. So there is still a chance that people can get to you. So remember, it is a very competitive business that you're going into. And number 2, you will need to learn new skills. So the simple matter of fact is you will need to learn new skills to keep up with competition. You won't just be able to rely on writing as your only skill. You will have to consider things like keyword research, on-page SEO. You may even need to look at things like building Pinterest accounts or a social media following. Or perhaps you may need to build an email list, and that in itself is a skill. So you will have to keep learning new skills, otherwise the competition will steamroll you and they will overtake you. They might learn better SEO than you. They might learn how to use new social media platforms. And if you just bury your head in the sand and don't learn new things, you will get left behind. And number 3, not everyone has the right mindset. Now what I mean by this, it sounds very deep, doesn't it? But it is true. It does take a certain person to achieve in, whether it be blogging, YouTubing, affiliate marketing, or building a niche website. It does take a certain mentality and a certain mindset to be able to push through when things are really hard. You know, if you said to anybody, all right, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to work day and night, 7 days a week, and I won't see any return or hardly anything at all for all that hard work for 9 months, people would think you were crazy. But we know in blogging, that is exactly what you will need. You will need that mindset that can keep showing up, can keep getting up every morning. You know, you hear of some people, you know, I did it in the beginning, getting up at 5 and 6 a.m. and writing articles before I went to work, and then doing a 12-hour shift, coming home, having tea, a few hours with my family, and then writing again from like 10 p.m. till midnight. Sometimes that is the mindset and the mentality that you have to succeed. And unfortunately, it is a very competitive business we're getting into. And if you do not have the right mindset for it, unfortunately, you will not succeed. And number 4, most people will give up. So here's some scary numbers for you. 80% of all blogs that are started fail within a year. And 93% of all blogs that was aimed at creating a website or a business that makes money actually make a financial loss overall. Now for that, you've got to take into consideration your time, your financial investment, your startup costs, 93% of all websites just simply will not make money. And number 5, you are not in control. Now, the scary part about any business is losing control over the destiny or the direction you take your business. And unfortunately, with blogging and niche website building, you are pretty much not in control. You're at the hands of either Google or your product, the manufacturer that you're selling the product from, or your audience, or Economic Financial Times. You are simply not in control. Now, to give you a real life example of this, I have had one product within the pet niche that I have been promoting for over 2 years now, and it's consistently brought me $500 in every single month. I literally go to sleep and I know that when I wake up, I have made that money every month. It was there like clockwork. And then new competition comes along and really focuses on that keyword and that product, and I have dropped in the rankings considerably. And I've now gone from making $500 a month down to, so far I've just checked, we're nearly at the end of the month and I think I've made $9. So I've lost $500 a month every month because the competition has come along and got stronger. Now, I'm not in control of that. I can only control the blog posts I write and my techniques and my rankings. I can only try and control that. I can't control the competition. So if somebody comes along and targets your niche or your keywords, you're simply going to lose control. Now, that can also be said for Google. If Google shows your website some love, you can get hundreds of thousands of visitors to your website. If Google does not like your website, and we know how mysterious Google is, it can overnight drop your rankings and you can see a drop in traffic and a drop in revenue just like that. It just happens. And again, you are not in control of that. And sometimes, unfortunately, you have to just take them blows and just move on and focus on something else. Yes, you can try and battle back. Yes, you can try, going after that keyword and going after that competition. But it is a fact that sometimes you are just not in control of what happens. And number 6, it's a lonely place. Yes, blogging or building websites is often practiced in quiet, confined spaces like my kitchen. Not all of us have a big community hub where it's all buzzing. I don't know if you've ever seen the Google office. You see them pictures where they've got nice slides and they've got ice cream parlors in the office and everybody's laughing and joking and there's music on. It's not like that. It really isn't. It is simply you sat at a desk every day when you have quiet time, the family's gone to school or work, and you just sit down and you have that quiet time. And it gets lonely, particularly when things are not going great. You have nobody to talk to. Your wife or your partner or your husband just doesn't understand what you're talking about or what you're doing. And it can be a very lonely place. Now, that can take an emotional toll on you. And that is probably why those statistics of 80% giving up within a year are probably true, because you do feel isolated, lonely, and it's just easier to give up. And number 7, you have to love writing. Now, it's a fact. The majority of websites are built on content, written blog content, and it needs a lot of content to be successful. I think across my entire portfolio of my more established websites, it probably averages 200, 300, 400 articles on each website. It is very rare these days that you can write 20 or 30 posts, sit back and retire and sip cocktails on the beach. It just does not happen. So if you don't like getting up every day, sitting at the keyboard and writing content, do not get into blogging. And number 8, it is an emotional roller coaster. Now, I'm not saying this lightly. I've never been in a business where I have had such an emotional roller coaster ride. One day you're on a high, your traffic is going through the roof, your Amazon commissions are flooding in. The next day it's ghost town. Nobody comes to your website, the sales suddenly drop. It can be a frightening place to be. And that really pulls at your heartstrings and your emotions. You go through anger, frustration, confusion, and then all of a sudden everything comes right and you're absolute in ecstasy. It is just an incredible ride, and you have to be prepared and mentally ready and stable to tackle this. Fingers crossed that never happens to you, and it's always an emotional high, but I highly doubt it. It is a very emotional business to be in. And finally, number 9, the market is saturated. So it's fair to say, from the COVID outbreak that we had and the lockdown situation everybody found themselves in, The last 15 months have seen a huge surge of online business, websites, blogs suddenly appearing. And you can understand why, for obvious reasons. People are locked in at home and bricks and mortar businesses have had to shut, so everybody's jumped in online. So where before you could find a niche that nobody has tackled, nobody has touched, that is getting harder and harder. It is more saturated. So if you think you're going to start a website and you're going to find a niche that nobody has ever tackled, nobody's ever wrote a blog post about, you're sorely mistaken. You will have to look at websites that has competition. You will have to tackle maybe slightly harder niches than you did 10 years ago. It's simply a matter of fact. But don't let that stop you. There are still opportunities. There are still niches you can go after. Just don't wait forever to try and find that perfect niche, because like I say, competition is much tougher. So there's 9 harsh realities around blogging, and it may seem a little doom and gloom, but there are probably more positives than negatives, and maybe I'll save that for another video. But I do want to give some people a bit of a reality check and set you up basically for success. I don't want you to fail. I want you to go into this business with your eyes wide open, knowing all the truths about it, because building a business online is difficult. There are a lot of harsh realities you need to face, but you can overcome them and you can have a successful business online. So I hope that helps. I hope it doesn't put you off. I just want to make sure you are prepared.